Catch Your Breath, Until I Wake, and Of Virtue have been touring the UK together, and I got to see them live in London. I was there primarily to see Until I Wake, the band I'm most familiar with, and I enjoyed their set, but I was pleasantly surprised by the other two bands on that bill. Embarrassingly, I didn't really know Catch Your Breath before seeing that gig. Turns out they have 2 million plus monthly listeners on Spotify. I'm clearly out of the loop on that one, but we'll get to their sets in a moment. To begin, the gig itself, I was delighted to see the range of people at that gig. I saw people there from the age of about 7 with their parents, not just rambling in off the street, all the way up to clearly like retirement age. Is a huge swathe of demographics at that gig, which is cool to see. And it was absolutely fucking packed. Packed. It was a sold out gig, but even for the first band on, it was like sardines all the way to the back of the main room. That is impressive to see. They've clearly got a good draw, all of them. It was a sold out gig, and boy, could you feel it from the start. So the first band on was Of Virtue, who I was not familiar with, but very impressed with them. They had actually, all three bands had this, but it was a very polished performance. It was smooth and slick. I think all of them had kind of backing tracks to give a kind of a nice locked-in tempo for things and have some additional electronics and things. And also, I think a couple of the bands didn't have bassists at all, so that would come through backing track as well. But that helps give a very exacting and polished performance and gives a bit of smoothness. I was very impressed by them. They had a good balance for me of rocking out visibly, enjoying themselves, but also having moments where they would take whatever it was they're singing, whatever they're playing quite seriously. It was a very natural overall performance across the board. Great interactions with the crowd as well. At one point, much respect to the vocalist. He jumps into the crowd, which again is packed like sardines, so that is no joke. And he's in there very close to the mosh pit, singing along. Half people didn't look like they didn't even notice he was there. And then crowd surfed his way back up onto the stage afterwards. Respect. There's risk involved there, and it went well. I was really impressed with the vocals overall. The quality of the vocals for both of the main singers was fantastic. I am all for bands that have this sort of polished pop vocal ability, especially the guitarist's voice. I thought his voice was fantastic. Really good power when he needed it, but also nice and gentle in different moments. So the songs and the performance had dynamic variety and sort of energy, which is excellent. The songs sounded decent enough. You know, they were kind of catchy in places. They were simple enough to not be overcrowding your senses if you're not familiar with them before seeing them live. I was truly impressed. Decent performance by Of Virtue. Then after that was the band I was most familiar with and most excited to see in Until I Wake. And I had the chance to interview them shortly before the gig that evening as well. That interview will go live on this channel in, I think, a couple of weeks or so. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to check out that conversation I had with them soon. I was delighted with their performance. It was an absolute wall of sound. In particular, the scream vocals from Cody were my most enjoyable scream vocals of the entire night. God damn, Cody can scream. Highs and lows, absolute ferociousness, which added so much power to those heavier moments that they have in some of their songs. Impressed with that. Also impressed that he was having to do some of the rap bits that the previous vocalist, who left earlier this year, put in their most recent album. They played the song Catacombs, the opening track off of Renovate, and it has a fast-paced rap, which he handled perfectly well, I think, to open that song. So that was cool. Great to see him doing a full dynamic range of vocals during that set. The only slight criticism, there's some pitchiness here and there in some of the clean vocals, but I like that it wasn't corrected with auto-tune. It was a very real and human experience watching them live, which I think is fantastic, especially when you've got bands like the three that I saw on this evening are all very polished. You kind of want to hear a little human side too, and I think Until I Wake have that. It reminds you this is live, this is a moment in time that will not repeat itself, those kind of slightly imperfect moments. So I actually like that a lot. But generally overall, good vocal performance from Cody. Thoroughly enjoyed the bassist in particular. I know it's a small detail, but I love when musicians take the time to perfect, spin moves and things on stage and have a bit of a visual aspect to it. Kind of helps make it an entertaining spectacle to watch, but also you get a sense that they're it's a visual way of them demonstrating that they're into this and enjoying it, which is great. You don't want them to just stand there and be like, I'm just playing songs. It's another gig, you know, who cares? You want it to feel like it's a live and energetic and passionate moment that everyone can experience for this one night only. And those kind of moments really help with that. The whole band, I think, did a great job. I really enjoyed seeing them live, and hearing some of their songs I've enjoyed translate in a live environment was pretty cool. And then it was time for the headliner in Catch Your Breath. Again, who I'm not actually that familiar with. So the power of their songwriting and their performance was going to dictate how well their songs translate, which in a live context is much harder than you think. So I was very impressed of how well written their songs were, that it was so crystal clear, all of the parts you could hear live. The vocals in particular were spellbindingly good. Fucking wow. There were moments, actually in all three bands, but especially in Catch Your Breath, that reminded me of Bad Omens. If you're a fan of Bad Omens, Catch Your Breath should absolutely be on your playlists. It was really beautiful, crystal clear, well-executed pop vocals over some nice kind of distorted guitar moments here and there. But then also there's a bit of fire later on as well. He has some scream vocals, which he took out in a few songs here and there, which meant when he did it, it really amped things up to a different level, which I thoroughly enjoyed. For the most part, very well-crafted songs. Catchy, well-performed, really polished, as were the other bands. It was a very impressive thing to see, and so clear from the quality of the music and the vocal performance, especially of that gentleman. This band is going to get bigger and bigger. I mean, I realize they got 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify, but the Islington Academy is too small for them. I could see them getting bigger and bigger quite quickly based on the quality that I saw them perform with last night. It definitely made me want to throw on some Catch Your Breath today and loop it a little bit and get more familiar with them. There is absolute quality within their songwriting. So yeah, 3 quality bands all playing one show in a packed, sold-out room. I mean, uncomfortably packed, I would say. You know, that's the problem with a sold-out gig. It's very impressive, and it creates for an amazing energy, but it's also really hard to get to the bar because no one wants to move because everyone's just packed in. So that was tricky, but totally worth it for great live music. If you enjoyed hearing about my kind of recap of that live gig experience, make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you haven't already. There'll be more gigs and festivals coming up soon that I'll be going to and reviewing in this way. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and maybe I'll see you in another one of these videos very soon.